Welcome to another episode of Register for Dinner. I'm your host, Sebastian Register, and ladies and gentlemen, we're in Crisfield, Maryland, and if you're allergic to shellfish, this may not be the place for you. Stay tuned. Today it's a full day of shucking oysters. We're doing oyster three-way, Rockefeller, raw, and I don't know what the third one is, but you'll just have to stay tuned and find out. Let's go. Got some Crisfield oysters, got my dad in the back. Say what up to the camera, Dad. Oh. That's good enough for me. Say what up to my Uncle Buck.
Are you ready, kids?
He was a professional shucker, that mother shucker.
Good one.
It's time to shuck some oysters and make an oyster three-way. Every great oyster needs a good sauce. So the first sauce I'm gonna make is the infamous cocktail sauce. Easiest sauce in the world. Got some awesome ketchup. Gonna take about half a cup. Couple dashes of Worcestershire. This is a secret recipe. It's crab seasoning. Goes on any Maryland crab feast. It's the bomb. A lot of Old Bay, a lot of pepper, a lot of salt. Just one pinch. That's perfect. And a couple generous spoonfuls of horseradish. I got the juice of 1/2 of a lemon. And typically you use Tabasco, but I'm taking an Asian spin on this. We're using some sriracha. Sriracha goes great on everything. About 1/2 teaspoon. Take a spoon, mix it all together. Maybe just a little bit more ketchup. That's perfect. Easy as that, cocktail sauce.
Taste and adjust. Needs a little more Worcestershire sauce. Now that's a spicy sauce.
A spicy sauce. You heard it straight from the guy's mouth. Okay, it's pretty good. We're gonna go a little continental now on you with some mignonette. Mignonette. Ma, is that how you say it?
Mignonette.
Close enough. It's a red wine sauce. Now I'm gonna take half an onion. I need 2 tablespoons, small diced. Next, take a 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar. We just so happen to have organic, thanks to my mom. Just enough vinegar to cover the onions. And lastly, some freshly ground black pepper. Lots of black pepper. Get a spoon and start mixing.
Okay, folks, now we move on to the oysters. By the way, I'm not responsible for oyster knives driven through the palm of your hand. Oyster down, cover it, put your hand on it, tip of the knife goes in, twist, slide the knife blade in, run it across the top of the shell, bingo. Another oyster, cut it out, ready to consume.
Round 1, fight!
This is not too big. I want to use it on bechamel. What?
It's a long walk to California.
Stop it! We're making 2 different types of bechamel. So I got my butter in a pan on medium-high heat, and I'm gonna slowly start to melt it. Don't burn your butter.
Just don't get flour all over the counter.
Now it's time to start making a roux. Don't just put all your flour in at once, because then you're just gonna have this clump of mess. Take a nice handful of those red onions that you cut earlier, throw those in here, and then slowly start incorporating your white wine. The white wine will help you deglaze the pan and get all those yummy bits that are stuck to the bottom into your sauce. As I said before,
There's flour on the counter.
there's flour on the counter. We're making 2 bechamel sauces, so I want to save half of this master base for later. Just take it, pour it into the bowl, and that'll be perfect. All right, now it's time to start making the Rockefeller. So I got a pound of spinach, and I'm gonna start tearing it into the pan. Don't overcrowd your pan, so start sweating the spinach down a little bit. It may seem like it's a lot of spinach, but that heat's gonna really cook out all that water that's in the actual leaves. and it's gonna turn into pretty much nothing. Put a lid on your pan and I'll help steam them down. Keep the heat at medium-high for a couple minutes, and then you should have perfectly sauteed spinach.
A few moments later.
Just a couple more minutes, and it'll be time to add some cream. Now it's time to start adding some milk. Slowly start incorporating milk as you're whisking, and that will also help deglaze the pan and get all those yummy bits. And what you're looking for is a nice thick paste, which will be excellent for your Rockefeller. I put in about 1/4 cup of milk. And as you can see, the roux that we made earlier is really helping to thicken up this sauce. Now I have some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. And I'm just gonna take a good, generous portion. Start whisking it in there. Perfect. See how it's tasting? But it can use just one more thing, our crab seasoning. A nice, generous helping. Give that a whisk in. Obviously, if you don't have this crab seasoning, salt and pepper will do just fine. If you want the secret to our crab seasoning, look in the description down below. Turn off your heat, set it to the side to cool down, and then we'll add our next ingredient. Next, you're gonna want some Perno. It is a licorice style liqueur, or any unsweetened liqueur that has a licorice flavor will work just fine. Take a good generous splash. Give it a good whisk. You're gonna really wanna make sure that you whisk it a little bit, taste it. If it needs some more Perno, whisk it in. You don't want the whole thing to taste like licorice, but you should definitely know that Perno is inside your sauce. So we'll give it a good taste. Could use just a little bit more. And you're gonna also want to try to keep it in the pan. Shh, don't tell mom.
Isabel, he's making a mess.
All right, I think the Rockefeller sauce is done, but I need a true master chef to taste it. Dad, get over here.
The things I'll do for my children. It's good.
What can I say, guys? I try. When you're the birth child to a master chef like Paul Register, it's hard not to be great at your craft. All right, so now we have the second part of our roux, and we're gonna make the third oyster dish. You wanna grab some more white wine, about 1/2 cup, and use 1/3 of it. Stir that around until well incorporated with your roux. Once it gets to this sludge consistency, add the rest of your wine. And the wine's gonna help thin this out. Next, you're gonna wanna add the juice from the oysters that you shucked, otherwise known as the liquor. Slowly start incorporating the liquor into your sauce. It's really gonna add a nice brininess. Shout out to Andrew Zimmern. So I've adjusted the temperature of my stove to about low to medium heat. And now I want to give the sauce a taste. Delicious, but it needs a little bit of depth. So I've got Worcestershire, whatever you want to call it. A couple dashes. Give that a quick stir in. Next, I got about 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan, and I want to slowly start adding that into your sauce. You want to make sure to constantly stir your sauce so you don't burn it. If you burn it, you got to start all over. Give it a quick taste. You could reduce just a little bit more. You can still taste a little bit of the wine. So maybe just add a little pinch of salt. Give that a quick stir and let it simmer on low for about 1 to 2 minutes. Your sauce is pretty much done. Now you can set it aside and let it cool down slightly before topping off your oysters. As you can see, I have all the oysters shucked, removed from their shells to strain out the juice, and then we put them back into their shells. First things first, the Rockefeller. So we're gonna take our spinach sauce that we made earlier. It's had time to sit and cool. And we're gonna take little spoonfuls and put them on top of your oysters until the entire oyster is covered. Next, we have some finely grated breadcrumbs, and we're gonna just do a generous sprinkling on each oyster. Lastly, I just have a pinch of freshly grated Parmesan cheese, very small amount on top of your oysters. Alright, lastly, it's time to make the Somerset oysters. So we got this amazing sauce that we made earlier. It's time to start putting them on the oysters. Alright, just like the Rockefellers, you want to put them on the oysters till they're completely covered. Like I always say, you can never have too much sauce. Now that the sauce is on the oysters, you can top them off with a little bit of finely grated Parmesan cheese. Grab some cheese, give them a light sprinkle. Finally, some smoked paprika. And voila, your oysters are done. Your oysters are prepped. Now I got the oven set to 400 degrees. Now it's time to plop these bad boys in the oven until bubbly and delicious. About 8 to 10 minutes. Keep a close eye on them. Thanks for watching today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed everything. Once again, my name is Sebastian Register, and this is Register for Dinner. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to smash that like button, comment below, and subscribe. Until next episode, stay hungry, my friends.